Hello, everybody. We are here. You've probably been thinking about this. We've been talking about this. We're going to continue to talk about this because we have so much time in between the World Cup and all, guys. The World Cup draw has happened today. The groups are out. We're here to discuss, see what we like. How do we feel about this draw? Again, looking at it from our Canadian perspective as well as other nations here, guys. How do you feel? If you're new to this channel, we do primarily Canadian content. We dabble with Africans because we wouldn't be the Africans if we didn't do so. As well, we cover some European club football. So if you like that type of content, give us a subscribe here, follow us here. We have a subscribe goal to try to hit the triple digits today. So bring everyone in if they're not sure. Bring them in, like them, go, and we'll see what we can do. Guys, there's right people in the chat. Marcel, welcome over here, man. I'm glad that you're able to come by. Deuce B, nice to see you here as well. Pretty good draw for Canada. I do agree. We will get into that. We'll go through all the groups. We'll highlight Canada, but then same type of questions we've had before. Everyone jumping from IMAXiT stream, guys, thank you for being here. But let's continue this conversation and see how we feel. And Ronaldo, nice to see you as well. So let's go through it. As you can see, we do have it on the screen here. Let's go through all the groups. So in Group A, we have the host, Qatar, with Ecuador, Senegal, and Netherlands. Everyone was gunning for that Qatar group because you were hoping you'd have an easier draw. A few teams got that. Group B, England, Iran, the US, and the European playoff, which will either be Ukraine or the winner of it'll either be Wales or the winner of Ukraine and Scotland. So the Commonwealth and Friends group, as I'll call it for now. Group C, intriguing with Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. I think the top three teams there looking very strong. Group D, we have France versus Intercontinental Playoff Group, Denmark and Tunisia, some powerhouses there, and hopefully returning Ericsson to the squad. Group F, our second Intercontinental Playoff, as well as Spain, Germany, and Japan. Group F for the Canadians who've been looking. It's right, Belgium, Canada, Morocco, and Croatia. Tough group, but there is potential there as well. Group G, Brazil's drawing Serbia, Switzerland, Cameroon, and then Group H, Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and the Korean Republic. Guys, let me know in the chat how you feel about this one to me. I think a lot of good matchups are everywhere. From the Canadians, we'll jump into that in a little bit, but my overall thoughts is it's a pretty balanced group. I think even with the Euro playoff spot still up for grabs, though we assume that England group looks easy. I mean, either Ukraine, who I do rate some of their young players and prospects coming up, or Scotland or Wales, that group. I mean, on form, Wales, we've seen Christian Bale do a lot of things. But then there's a lot of potential there. Group C, Poland versus Mexico, we assume, is a matchup for second. But Argentina last time around didn't look good in the group stages, so there is no true guarantee. Group D, France, they're our last winners. If you believe in the winner's curse, as I do, you're expecting France to not make it out of their group here. But France does come with a lot of talent, and they are definitely a team to look out for if you think it's just off of current form. Group E, Spain and Germany, two good European bases, plus Japan and an intercontinental playoff. So that is definitely a group that we assume you're going to get maybe Spain and Germany moving through, but no guarantees. Group F, Belgium, Canada, Morocco, Croatia. It's a tough group for Canada, but hey, iron sharpens iron. Sometimes the fire is what you need to get you playing at your best. So we'll see if the Canadians are able to do so. Brazil drawing Serbia and Switzerland and Cameroon. Cameroon, good showing, but we'll see which groups are able to come through. And finally, Portugal drawing Ghana, Uruguay, and the Korean Republic. A rematch from the last time Ghana was at the World Cup. And then the Ghana-Uruguay matchup, I'm sure it's a very tasty match where many people are looking to get a good bite out of it. I'll leave my puns out of this because that was a terrible one, but I committed to it. So overall thoughts, guys, which group do you think is the easiest group to win? I asked this on IMAX earlier, but we're going to put it here. Which group do you think you rate as the group of death? Which group do you rate as the group of life? If you're looking, wondering what I mean, which group looks like it's a dangerous group with a lot of teams that could win it, tough teams to win? A group of life, which group do you think it'd be a little bit more open. You feel like it's wide open in that group aspect. I think for me, the group of life definitely feels like Group H, though we do rate Portugal doing well. They've had some moments where they've slipped. So having a three-team race between Ghana, Uruguay, and the Korean Republic, I think that's any two teams can come out of that group, and I wouldn't be surprised. In terms of tough groups, I mean, Group C definitely does have a shout. There's no doubt about that. With Argentina, Mexico, and Poland, like any combination of those three could do. I know there are some Saudi Arabian fans who are thinking, "Hey, there's hope for us. Don't forget us." But I think looking at that, it could be. And then another group of life, Group A, is an interesting group. Yes, Qatar is the hosts. Yes, you have the Netherlands here, but Senegal, the African champions, Ecuador, who've been playing well, and we saw Qatar at the Gold Cup in CONCACAF, so we know about what that team does have. So I think it'll definitely be interesting to see what they go through. But I think tough groups to try to get something out of. Group E, maybe Group F as well. They do look like groups where you'll have a little bit of a struggle to go through. So we'll definitely see what that looks like. Ronaldo giving in. Group B definitely does have some political interesting aspects to it. There's no doubt about that. That's why I call it the Commonwealth Group and Friends, because you have the history between Iran and the US, and then England with the US, that history. Last time they matched up, they did draw at the World Cup. That was 2010. That was 2010. And then Wales or Wales or Scotland, if they're able to get through, you have again another Commonwealth, and I'm sure they'll be chomping at the bit for that opportunity. You'd have teams who are waking up and are getting up to play those games. But guys, if you are stopping by, feel free to stop in, give us a comment, give us a subscribe, let us know how you're feeling. We're going to add to this good friend and someone who I've said I will be replacing him one day because I still have hair. But I mean, that's too harsh of a statement. JD, I did spend some time with you on your channel, but welcome here. How are you feeling? I hope this break was long enough for you.
I'm I'm alive, you know. I'm alive. Yes,
Not
I am.
a problem.
Yes,
No,
I'm trying to share your stream, make other people come here. Yes.
appreciate
Yes,
it.
yes. It was a beautiful conversation,
Mhm.
and everything, man. I appreciated that you came and helped me out and stuff.
Mhm. No, not a problem. So for the question, guys, which group is the group of death, the toughest group to really call? Which group is the group of life? Where equally tough to call, but any groups coming in, there's lots of opportunities to win. We have Marcel here giving us Group C. I know it's because you're representing Poland. There's no doubt about that. Argentina definitely seems like on paper they're the best squad, but you can have a if you start off slow. Argentina started off slow and then ended up in a matchup against France in the round of 16. So anything can go through. There's no doubt about that. But I think on paper, you look at this matchup, it's really in Group C, Mexico versus Poland, which I think is their first match because I think they're going they're going slot 1 and 2 as your first matchups. So with that being the case, that does make it interesting where you can set the tone for yourself and really keep yourself in the running up until the end. So if Poland's able to get a result against Mexico right off the bat, I think that really does give them the opportunity. No, agree with you there. I think Saudi Arabia gets lost in this shuffle, but Saudi Arabia is a good squad. We just hope that they'll be able to come through. So definitely as a group of death option, they are a good shout. For me, I think group of death is probably more so group F, just because of the quality of teams. I think I was looking at their rankings, and Belgium to Croatia is 12, Morocco 24, and Canada 38. If Canada hadn't lost, they'd be ranked maybe in the 30s, but still, that's a very nice compact name in terms of numbers. So I'm very much intrigued to see how that matchup goes. And really, what this World Cup goes through. But JD, how do you feel? What groups are you looking at in terms are the most difficult to call and to really, and which ones look more wide open for you?
As what I've told you before, a lot of people, these things rile up a lot of people, but
Mm,
um, definitely Group F will be the most balanced one because sometimes Belgium can be a failure. and obviously Morocco, Croatia, and Canada are good teams. So anything can happen, and in this group, so that's why it is the group of death. But you
Mm,
have three other groups that I think is problematic. Argentina, this is Group C, Mexico, and Poland. Any one of those teams can actually win it because that's the World Cup fever. People don't know when um, reality sets in the World Cup, what happens, you know. So
mm.
I'm not going to give Argentina any just over the top win. I think it's going to be very difficult, and it's yeah. And then you look at the next group here, which is Group E: Spain,
Mm.
Germany, Japan, and then you could have a intercontinental playoff, which should be our version, which is
Yeah.
CONCACAF. So that would
Yeah.
be Costa
It's
Rica, Costa
Costa
Rica,
Rica
and
or
New
New
Zealand.
Zealand. Yeah.
Yes, and I think Costa Rica will make it because they had a good spell and they are going to carry over from their good spell against United States, Canada, and
Hmm.
El Salvador. And they have blended it well with kids. And now they have some good kids coming in like Aguilera. He actually made
Hmm.
the team of the week based off his display. I think those guys are going to take Costa Rica to a good enough level to be good par going in the future. So I think they have good enough pieces to be a problem there. And Costa Rica has experience because Celsa Borges, um, Celsa Borges, what's his name again? Um, Brian Ruiz,
Hmm.
Joel, Campbell. All of those guys are solid individuals, and they have good centre backs to play with. They have good midfielders, and they have good wingers, wing backs, I should say, and they have
Hmm.
one of the world class keepers in the world just the same. Those teams are not teams that you want to say you want to come up against. So I think Costa Rica will be a threat in this group just the same. They are a tough team to play with, and they are one of the teams that embarrassed a group of that before in
Hmm.
2014. So we can't just go out and act like they are nobodies. I think they remember how good they are, and they're going to remember how good they are. It doesn't matter if they're 1,000 years old.
No, it's a fair point. I think again from a CONCACAF standpoint, though, I like we always have this conversation where we say there are levels to this, and I think there are here. And I think a team like Costa Rica, to a larger extent, and probably to the same way in different styles, you look at a Mexico, right? I think how they're able to blend both their youth and their veterans here is going to really be able to help them be successful here. Because if Costa Rica, for example, if they're able to win against New Zealand and they make this world and they're in this group, I don't like being veteran heavy. If they have a more of that blend, I think they have a better chance because you have a little bit more dynamic play in that midfield, and then you have Joel Campbell who's able to do what he can. So I think that gives you a bit more opportunity to really kind of build off of that style. A low block isn't new, right? So being able to do that with the right players and having players who can counter and really be threatening, that helps. In the same way that I look at Mexico, if Mexico goes more veteran heavy, I think they serve to find themselves in a disadvantage against an Argentina, even a Saudi Arabia who can give them some pace and some attacking flair that way. And then with Poland, you have the big names. So I think the management, the balance of this squad will matter, I think, a lot for how they're able to go through and they're really able to kind of progress in that sense. But that's kind of how I feel with that. So like not to take away from that, I think it's a good point that you bring up. Let's go and go through these comments, and while I'm doing that, we kind of had a discussion already, but let's look at in terms of the CONCACAF teams. We've covered Costa Rica where they would be if they win their playoff, but let's take a look at the US, Canada, and Mexico where they are. But let's go through some of these comments here first. Ronaldo, a match between the Netherlands and Belgium is also interesting further in the tournament. It's true. That would be an interesting matchup. Who would you take in that matchup, the Netherlands or Belgium, if they were to meet later on in this tournament here, JD?
I'm not man. Belgium will be the favorites against Netherlands, man.
Mm,
But experience and coaching wise, I think Netherlands might have that. Not experienced by the players, and I'm talking about their history in the
mm,
World Cup. I think that would galvanize them. We always wanted Belgium and Netherlands to have that because we're close to each other. We
mm.
always wanted that to happen, but it never did the last time because we got dumped out by Argentina.
Yeah.
So that's why it happened. So to be honest, Belgium is better than Netherlands right now, so I think they will get over the line. Yeah, even with Martinez as one of the worst coaches ever existed in football. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
we'll
So
have that conversation.
we will go Belgium.
Okay, not bad. Marcel, thanks for being here again. I don't know why, but I'm getting hyped for this World Cup draw. Honestly, once you see it on paper, it changes how you feel about it. It's one thing qualifying, but now you know who you're playing, and now the mind starts to go like, even like the guy on the inside of me, he's looking like, okay, who do we play that's similar to Portugal that can prepare us? The Ghana's definitely going to play Japan. We're definitely going to play Japan. Like that's how the Ghanaian, and then Uruguay. Maybe we get like let's get Colombia. So like in my mind, I'm like, yo, let's get Colombia and Japan as matchups, and anyone else who might be in that World Cup. And you're trying to think of friendlies. You're thinking of which youth players are coming in. And I think that also is the thing with this World Cup because it's in November. There is so much more time. You could have a player who's in great form starting the season, all of a sudden make it onto their squad versus looking at how a team looks right now at the end of the season and saying, well, player X performed well. Like if you're Canada, for example, I mean, it would have been a little bit sticky if try to get Davies back for the World Cup. I think he would have been able to play if it was in the summer. But now that it's in December. You have time, players can get into form. You can also let other players develop and work their way that way. So it's a very fair point, but this is going to be less of a race and more of a marathon as we get closer and closer to that coming. Ronaldo, 30 years ago, you could talk about a group of death, a group of life, but nowadays, all teams could win from each other. There are no weak opponents. Um, I think there's the gap between squads is a lot smaller. There's no doubt about that, but there are still levels, right? I think there's a reason why your top teams are where they are and your bottom teams are where they are based off of your federation, based off how you've played. So I don't know if there's going to be as many upsets, shall we say, but I think everyone has players who are playing at a decent level that you can't be surprised. I think at this point it comes down to either talent taking over or coaching being able to putting players in those positions to really succeed. So I think that's a fair point, but it's a good shout there. Group E is also very top heavy from Deuce. Yeah, that's true. Japan and the IC winner is very tough. I prefer our chances against Croatia and Morocco. Canadian standpoint, that's true. I mean, I know on first reaction, you have the second and the third place team of the last World Cup and Morocco. But hey, the ball is round, as I've heard many times, and you play the game on the pitch. So you take you put them out there, and you take their best 11, and you see what happens. No doubt about it. Marcel, thank you again. I feel like Argentina or Poland might just go to second place or for first place in this group C. Any of those teams could have a good combination. Like the more I've thought about it, the less instant reaction you're there. You've had a little bit of time to kind of look at it and look at it that way. So I think it's a fair point. There's definitely is that opportunity. Ronaldo wants to talk about the curse of the World Cup. You know what? The World Cup winners curse. If you think it's a real thing, it's and the basic thought is the winner of the World Cup underperforms in the next World Cup. So if you go back to it really started in 2002. So 98 France won, and then in 2002 they didn't make it out of the group rounds. In 2002 Brazil won. They lost in the round of 8. They lost in the quarterfinals to France. So they're the best performing one, and then Italy won that World Cup. And France made it to that World Cup as well. Then you get to 2010. Italy doesn't make it out of the group, nor does France. And then you have Spain winning that World Cup. You go to 2014, Spain wins the World Cup. No, Spain doesn't win the World. Spain doesn't make it out of the group stage. And then Germany wins the World Cup in 2014. Argentina, the finalists, barely make it out of their group in 2018 and then lose to France in the first round of 16. Germany doesn't make it out. So, based off of that number and logic, France won in 2018. Croatia were the runners up. Is there credence to the thought of a curse, or is it just teams underperforming? JD, what do you think?
The teams weren't good at the time. That's
Mm,
just it's just a coincidence that they weren't good at the time, and this France team coming in with young players that are very good, and their footballing waves is just at the right time. And I think they're gonna break up that little thing that you think about. I don't think they're gonna be so much of a problem because remember they don't play even though they have that skilled set of players, they don't go the expansive route as what most people would think, with
mhm.
a style team like that, Obviously, they are much more technical than England, but I still believe they try to go off that behavior like even England, to be honest. So that's my problem. I need to see more from them. If they can
Hmm.
adjust their style because they brought in Benzema and those guys. So maybe it will change a little bit, but let's see still. But I think they're going to be good enough because they're going to be cautious. I think most of the other teams, why they dropped off is because they
Mm.
weren't being cautious. They believe that they're top dogs now and they need to go out and just bamboozle anyone. And sometimes you get the overconfidence from the group selection. I don't think this group selection will give them any overconfidence. I think they might feel like if they don't come out and perform, and Denmark, which is a troubled team. Remember, you saw it in the Euros and everything.
Yeah.
They can be a troubled team, so they don't want that team to get at least a point or 2 point, 3 points in the first set of games against them. You know, they want to make sure they make some difference. So I
That's
want to
fair.
say that they're going to be cautious. And I'm going for them to top it.
Okay, that's fair. And I think if you look at what you say, it does have some credence. When you look at those squads, they were very reliant, like past winners, they are very reliant on that same core of players that brought them through, right? And there is always questions about like whether you have a young player coming in. Because I remember 2002, it was essentially the same core of players coming from France, and that was the same. And that team wasn't exactly a young team, so you get surprised by a Senegal early, and then they aren't able to really recover. Right? You go to Brazil the next one. That team was probably the best team, and they made it out of the group, beat Ghana in the round of 16, but then lost to France. France that next year, when Italy, the same crew, not enough players. I think that's where you start to see that trend. You try to recreate with that same group, and aging happens. There's more youth that's coming, and the next thing you know, you're outside of the World Cup, and you're just everything repeats itself. I think when you win with one, and it's something that I've heard say, and by no means is this like a real concern for me, but it's definitely something that my ears have perked up to this. The idea of like you have a loyalty to a group of players, right? And that player got you this far. Therefore, you want to go forward with those players, which is fine. At the same time, there are levels to this, and a player at one rank isn't necessarily going to be at that same rank before. So I think careful management of squads is probably what did in a lot of those teams. And again, you're looking at how France is built currently. They do look like the team that should be able to be get out of this whole first place or champions curse thing. I don't know if I see them repeating as champions, but I can see them getting out of the first group and then maybe losing in the round of 16 for whatever reason. Because even if you look at how they performed at the Euros, when they lost in that first round matchup, it was just a game they shouldn't have lost. They just literally broke down at the end and gave up opportunities, and then you take it to penalties and it's there. So I think squad management and just how you build that squad matters. And I think the Canadian in me kind of transitioning this to like looking at CONCACAF teams here. That's probably my concern for Canada's squad. I know you want to be loyal to that group who got you there, and there's no doubt about like the work that they've done. But my thought process is if a player is not at that level, just because the trip that you've taken, right? Just because you've been on the trip so far doesn't mean that you should be a passenger when it comes due. So like looking at the squad and seeing, hey, are these players up to the level that we think that we need to do something? And time will tell. Maybe they will be. But like when you're looking at players who have been kept on the squad, and like we've Canadian fans have had these conversations, whether it's like looking at like a Cavallini or even a Mark Anthony K, for example, it's also just looking and thinking, are they ready and can we rely on them at this level? or are they going to just be those types of players where you're wondering if they can come through for you at that point, right?
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. But I just believe that we're not rushing, we're not judging
Mhm.
judging it off. I think, or let me put it in the right context. Since the virus,
Yeah.
things changed. Football have been much more emotional and stuff. So even some of the other guys, them that they were good, I think they have to figure out ways to cope with these situations. And I think there have
Mhm.
been a different footballers came along, and a lot of other guys that was much more. Uh, they are much more solid up there, like their footballing IQ, and they weren't the most physical at the time. I think they got advantages and stuff, and I think that helped the Canadian team a lot more than anything else, because I
Mhm.
think they had that bond, and with the coach and the players and everything. And that's what I think brought them over the line. And I think that's what will be surprised for a lot of teams, but not just
Mhm.
the Canadian team, but all of the smaller teams. I want to tell people that I think it's going to be a closer World Cup than everyone thinks. Like all of the groups in that we keep on talking about clear shots, I don't think we are going to get so much clear shots, in my opinion. I don't think so. I think all of the games will be emotionally charged, and that's why I'm going to not talk about the team that I should not name. But that team is an emotional team, and it will be problems coming. But I'm not going to call that team's name.
That team, that team. So when we're looking at the Concacaf teams here, we've covered most of them this year. We've looked at what they're going. The U.S. is in Group B with England, Iran, and probably or Wales or Ukraine or Scotland. Let's, for argument's sake, just
Mhm.
for the sake of the argument, let's just say it's Wales, right? Just because we saw them play. Let's say it's Wales in a group with England, Iran, and Wales. The U.S.'s chances of getting out of this group.
I think I give them around 40% chance, like how I give the Euro player 40% as well. Iran
Mm.
will take the next 20%.
Okay.
No, because the next team that no one should name or I should not name, I'm not even putting them into the frame.
Okay.
We're just having a conversation on the rest of teams, and I truly
Hmm.
believe that 40-40 equal. I think the United States is much better than what we give them credit for. We
Mm.
saw them did in the World Cup. Miles Robinson, Turner, all of those guys turned up by themselves. I think with more games, they're going to bond as a much more unit and work out in the end. It just requires time. And I think they have the amount of games before that time to get into it. You know what I mean? They're going to have a few more windows. They're going to have the Nations
Hmm.
League that they can use as well. And that's why I believe that they're going to put out a stronger Nations League squad in order to get that cohesiveness throughout the squad. And I think they're going to turn up and they're going to shock. I think this team will deal with the next deal with England just like the last team that they faced. Was it 2-2 or 1-1?
The in 2010 it was 1-1.
1-1. Okay, I saw
Yeah.
more goals scored than that, because ball
Mm.
cleared off line, and I was so into that game.
Mm.
So, believe me, I just don't believe that it's going to be a cakewalk. I think
Mm.
it's going to be a much, much tougher group. And I am not sure if the team that should not be named will be the winners of this group. Yes.
This team who shall not be named. Like what is this Voldemort? Are we reading Harry Potter? The team who shall not be named. Like I
This
think
the entire night, so I'm not going to say anything about that team.
fair enough. Fair enough. No, I think they definitely of the three Concacaf teams. If you're gonna go four, assuming Costa Rica makes it through, I think they have the easiest group to come through. I think my question for them is really will they be able to adapt? And like I've said this countless times about the squad, I just feel that they play one way. They're good at countering teams. They're good at trying to attack and build to a degree, but they struggle with low block teams. And if you look at them in World Cup qualifiers, They struggled against Canada, who played a low block against them. They struggled against Costa Rica, who played a low block against them. And then teams El Salvador was able to play organized, and they struggled to get results out of them as well. So teams who do that are able to really go through and really give them trouble. I don't think they employ their players, and I think my issue with the U.S. is a lot more with their coach than their players. I think they have talent. There's no doubt about it, but I think how their coach employs that talent doesn't get the best out of them all the time, and I think that puts them in a position where they can't necessarily strive and build, which is why I think they see more success on the break, countering, moving the ball quickly, like that, where you're playing more instinctively versus trying to play through a system and move the ball one way or the other and do that. So I think that will be the interesting. And the second question for them is really, and it's the same question I'll have for Canada. The players that they have were able to qualify at the CONCACAF level. When you go up to the World Cup, like you aren't going to run into out of form Honduras. You're not going to run into a disorganized Jamaica, right? You're going to run into teams who all know what they're doing. So, does that standard, where we saw them do well at home, but then also struggle on the road, can that standard be then brought over to a World Cup and be successful? Or do they have to look at their players and say, will this work, right? Again, just random example, their center backs, right? Robinson and Zimmerman have performed well, but they perform well for CONCACAF. How will that look now when instead of like how, and like that's just me asking, like how will that look like when instead of, you know,
Oh my God,
Jimenez coming at
never
you?
I never mentioned anybody's name, and I said I'm not gonna name a team. I see people over here calling other teams' name. I've never said anything. I said the team.
Who shall not be
I'm
named?
not gonna
Yes,
name.
yes, JD.
All
Who
right.
shall not
So
be
I
named?
don't know why people still enemy song. I'm tired of
JD, you have a brand. We know the brand. Everyone knows the brand. No, but so like that's the question that I have for them, which is like, can that way that they've played? It's one thing to deal with like the strikers of CONCACAF, even though you've had strikers like good quality strikers, your Jimenez, your David, your Larens, etc. But now you're going against, like, now on the other side you have, in the case of Wales, you have Christian Bale, you have Sterlings, you have Kanes, you have players like of that ilk. You have the Iranian attacking force coming. Will it hold up the same way? We'll find out. I think when they play some friendlies, they'll definitely be able to test and see what they're able to do. And at that point, I think that's where the questions I have for the States. But I think based off how this is, they do have a chance. I think though, if a team like Wales is the team that comes through, I know they'll be up for the game against England, and they can definitely. I think they'll be able to get past Iran potentially. Iran is a team that famously will play a low block and will counter. So I could see the U.S. struggling against them as well. But I think they definitely, it's not as clear. I don't think this group is as easy. I don't think it's England and the US's group. I think on paper they have the quality, but again, you have to do it on the pitch. And I think in that case, you really have to look at if they're going to be able to do it, and on that day, if they'll be able to perform. But we'll definitely see. Let's move on to Mexico in Group C. They have Argentina, Saudi Arabia, and Poland in the group. How do you fancy their chances getting out of their group there?
Out of the same amount, I think I will give I can name everyone in this group. Yes, because they shall be named. Um, Argentina would give them a maybe 45% chance to go through, and then I will share between Poland and Mexico um,
Okay.
a good 25-25 to make 50, you know, and then I will
Okay.
give Saudi Arabia 5% chance of going through.
Okay.
because I think it's square between Mexico and Poland. But I think Mexico might top Poland because Mexico, they are very much experienced. Their players have been there already, and they have young players that went to the Olympic the other day, so they are getting things under their belts. They
Mhm.
played a few more tournaments. They played well. So the Mexicans, I think Mexicans might be the most underrated teams in the World Cups overall. Obviously, they have not won anything when it comes onto the World Cup, but they are always a presence and a danger throughout the World Cup from it started. So to be honest, I could see Mexico even tapping this group. Mexico
Mhm.
turn up and top this group. I am not sure if Argentina should be out and out favorite to win this. Mexico come up
Mhm.
every single year of World Cup. Mexico come out and they do some damage to some of these big teams. So why is
Mhm.
it we keep on doubting them?
I don't know if we're doubting them, but I think for me, my issues and like my questions for them is, will they get the actual blending of the team right? And I mentioned that earlier. I think Mexico and Costa Rica have veterans who've been here and they've done it before. In the same way that when we look at World Cups, teams that are heavily reliant on sometimes on the players who've gotten there before, it can work, but eventually they aren't the same in their prime players as they were. Like there's a reason why we joke around and say the ghost of what's left of Brian Ruiz. And if you looked at how Costa Rica started to improve their qualifying, he started playing, he wasn't starting every game. It was, you know, playing for maybe 60, playing for only 45, play him only in the half, bring him on, keep him fresh, and then try to go there. That management of the squad, playing young players in, getting that in. And I think for Mexico, they've relied a lot on veterans and lately started to try to incorporate some of their youth players. And I think that to me is the question for them. Are they able to get the right blend and do? Because Mexico, they'll always give a good performance here. There's no doubt about that. But I think Mexico has to be able to not be so age reliant. If they've learned anything in qualifiers, is that the younger teams with pace just looked at them and said, "We'll just run right at you. We'll run past you, and if we have to, we'll run around you. We will press you because we don't think you have the pace to hold up how we play." And until they start to, yeah,
Anime, I don't talk of feelings. I talk of what I could see happening. And let me explain to you. We said we are talking about older players. Achoa 36, Koda 34, Talavera 39. All of those guys are keepers, so it really don't matter. Then you have Arroyo 30 years old. All of those guys are solid. Then you have Hector Mardeno 34, which is older. Yes, so we have two older guys, 30 we don't consider as 30. So Aurelio is the only Marino is the only 34-year-old so far. And then after that we have Aida 31. That is not old. You understand me? And after that we don't have more other old players in the team. We should have an ex 35-year-old. They took him out because now you have Luis Romo, you have Rodriguez, and you have Alvarez. So they took out the older players and went with younger players. That's what I'm saying. Because Luis Romo played well in the goal, the world, the Olympics. He played
mhm,
well, and I saw that he can fill in when it comes on to Alvarez as a defensive central or a central. So you get me? So they do have the pieces that can be problematic. Alexis Vega, 24 years old, and he's one of the top talents. Antuna, 24 years old, he's one of the top talents. Linus, 21. So I don't think they're that old. Martin, Henry Martin, and Jimenez, 29, 30. So I don't think they're that old. Maybe people are just going over the top with them being old, like the last time they draw. Not this time. This window, I think they have less old players in it,
mhm,
much more younger players. And I think if they stay with this, it's a problem. But let me explain to you. Anime Sang. Look, Anime Sang. They have Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. So if Mexico defeat Poland, and I think Saudi Arabia might be the beaten stick in the region, in the thing, both of them on 6 points, then face each other. The match will be different. And the match between Argentina might not go in the way you think, Anime Sang, because I think Mexico can beat Argentina. You don't understand the pride that Mexico takes when it comes on to football. He said here, Mexico, JD think Mexico is going to top the group. We nearly beat Mexico. When we nearly beat Mexico, which day we nearly beat Mexico? Which day we nearly beat Mexico? Anime sang, stop tell lie to people, yeah, man. Which day we nearly beat Mexico? Anytime we score on Mexico is a word and is a prayer we have to have in a game when we have 4% ball possession, 700,000 shots go against us. Bruh, you know football is one football. You can get a goal and then all embarrassment reach enemy. Jamaica and Mexico don't on the next plane. They are not on the same level. And these guys rise their game when they come up to the time. So we have to be honest to ourselves. The team is a very good team, not a very good team, but a team that can rise to that occasion. And I think they will be the one out of anybody to rise to the occasion. I'm very sorry, but I will still stick with the Mexicans. And I can say
Mm,
Mexicans should come second, Argentina first, but I wouldn't be surprised if they come first.
mhm. Okay, that's fair. And like I was saying before, like I think it does come down to if they can get the blend, which they've been doing, but their Martino's reliance on his vets, I think will be his downfall. So if they can get to some more of those young players in and into the squad, and it comes down to them being in form as well. I think it bodes well for them at this tournament because then you can have the experience with the naivety of youth where you just don't know better. You just go out and play and you let that decide at the end. But no, I think if we're assuming the paper works and we live off of that paper, I think you assume Argentina, Mexico versus Poland. The question is, how do you rate Poland and like the players around them? If you think you can contain Lewandowski and Lucas and the other players that are there, then you think Mexico goes through. If you think Lewandowski will just have a game where he decides he will control everything, he will score his goals, he will get his service, then they
Um,
may find themselves out.
Can you find out for all the years for the last 16 years
Mhm.
what Argentina really did in a World Cup for the last 16 years? I want you to bring it up on the screen because it's like these mans never watched football, weren't watching football for the last 10 years. They truly believe these guys are the big names. They are the big names. All right. Anime said, well, I don't think that Netherlands will win either. Okay. So Anime fighting with people. Anime fighting with people. So he said, when is the last time Argentina lose a game? How much time Argentina came into a World Cup being in the best form and do not just nothing, but nothing in the group stage.
Let's go
Right,
to
let's stop it, man. With this overhype, man. Uh, just watch. Then you're going to have to respect football. You have to respect. If Argentina have to come out and win all of these games, and it's not. I don't think they're going to beat up no Mexico. It's technical football, just the same, anime. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's why we said it's one of the tough groups as well,
let's
anime.
have I'll
But
take a look at it.
it's not
Yeah.
impossible. It's not impossible if Mexico still turn out to be the best performers. We have to give we have to give the team respect, man. All of the team they are coming from the
Mhm.
Concacaf. Jamaica never did nothing against them. But it's not even close. The best thing Jamaica get was a corner because we are bigger frame people and we get a goal. But that's practically it. We have to
Mhm.
be realistic, I should say, because we have to give them credit, man. The guys them are
Mhm.
technical players that when you have so much technical players, if you can keep the ball on the ground, you can turn up any day and be in scintillating form if you're playing against certain style team. So let me give you some information. In anime sang, Argentina might be the best team for Mexico to play because they have similar stature people like themselves, and their playing style is much similar than Poland, than Saudi Arabia. So that means they might even get a win easier than anybody else, like even one new win, and then they can nullify them a little bit different because their strengths are skill, speed, transition, and try to get the ball inside the box to score. both teams play the same way. So Mexico's deficiencies comes off corners and height. So that's the big difference. So when I was doing my calculation, I was factoring everything why I do my calculation. So that's what I'm saying, Mr. Anami Sang, and at least you can be honest to yourself. You get me? Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that. Because I promise that I'm not gonna war outside of Jamaica stream, but
Sometimes we are what we are, he says jokingly. No, so like I think back to the thing we were talking about before. No, I think where Mexico really comes down to how well they can blend their youth with their vets. And if they get a good blend, it bodes better for them. And I see Peru's in the chat reminding us that they lost us Chile 7-0. Benjamin, we know. We know. It's all
I,
good. We know. Bring this all to me. Bring it all. No, I think that's going to come down to what they do there.
here
So
him comes. Here him comes now. You did not remember that Argentina made the World Cup finals in 2014. Of course, they beat Belgium to reach there. So I talked about it last time. But how much other year they failed with Crespo? They failed with Messi coming on the bench. They failed. Bruh, just stop it, enemy. Just stop it, man.
moving on. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm very sorry. I'm very
It's
sorry.
all
I'm
good.
very sorry.
JJD, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. All right. So last we'll go to the third one before we talk about if we think Costa Rica in that group of.
Yeah,
So
man.
group F, you have Canada with Belgium, Morocco, and Croatia. Um I think my question is going to and this is kind of the question I'm actually thinking about for Canada, which is what is their most ideal lineup to maximize the players that they currently have. I know they've played the 3-5-2 because they tried to get the two strikers, Laren and David, there. But against, again, Croatia, who is fine to counter with pace. I mean, Morocco, who's fine to counter with pace. Croatia, who you may think is a little long in the tooth, but still have that experience, and that matters. Belgium, coming to the end of probably, if this generation doesn't get it done here, they're not going to get it done, right? In that matchup there, how do you feel about Canada and their chances in this group?
I gave them a very good chance, very good chance. Speed transition, incredible, a world class players. I can't believe I'm saying this, but maybe, obviously, Luka Modric is a world class player and will remain a world class player, but he's on the older side. So I think if you have to, you're gonna put him down in the historical world class players. Yes, but no, I don't think he's gonna win out midfielders with the midfielders them like the heavy runners in midfield. So I want to say I will give Canada the edge. And yes, Alfonso David and Jonathan David. Alfonso
Mhm.
Davis and Jonathan David, I think they're gonna have two very good World Cups because these are two kids that they are fearless and I think they are very good um, maybe Alfonso Davis is a special talent. Period. I
Mm.
don't think you have a better player in the world as a left back than him. You understand me? Yes. If you can name out 50 skills, you can name out 50 from him as well. And Jonathan David, I think he's an underrated player because he's delivering just like Mbappe them and everyone, but seems to get no credit. Because people only talk about Mbappe because it's Mbappe. They are playing in the
Mm.
same league. You understand me? So is it different teams they played? Is it not the same teams they played throughout the year?
Yeah, same
So
teams
why
they play.
is he
Yeah.
can't? Yeah. So I think those are two individuals to look at, and Tajan Buchanan, the speed that they're going to add to that man, the physicals, just the
Mhm.
natural speed is something different. And I want to think that just the speed and power with their intelligence and their belief
Mhm.
in their coach and what they want to do for their country will drive them forward to do great things in this group. I think they're going to
Mhm.
qualify. The more I look at it, I think they're going to qualify. I kind of start believing that they are going to qualify, and
Mhm.
they're going to qualify. Not it's not going to be the. I'm not going to say that, but they're going to qualify. Let me leave
Mm.
it there. They're
No,
going to qualify.
yeah. Yeah, I think that comes down to that question. That my question with them is essentially the best way to maximize their players. And I think they definitely have talent here. There's no doubt about that. I think Morocco definitely has pace, and I mean, you have Hakimi on the other side, who will probably be playing on the other side of Davies because Canada likes to play him a little bit high. So you have arguably the best left back in the world playing as a wing back or a winger, going up against the best, arguably the best right back in the world, right? So two legit world class going head to head, and that'll be a fun matchup to see how that goes down. But I think no, I think Canada definitely has the attacking players on the wings and at the top of their attack. The question will be midfield, and I think that's my question with Canada overall. I feel like they're one dynamic midfielder away from really being complete as a team. And it's one thing they haven't used, but I think if they're able to do and use a player like that, and I think that's where like the introduction of a Kone is intriguing, or some of the other potential prospects for midfielders for Canada, whether they be like a Lucas Diaz at Sporting, Stefan Mitrovic, who is currently playing U21 for Serbia, but is Canada eligible, or even if I want to dream real big and say Marcelo Flores switches and joins Canada, I think adding that type of player, and let's not forget Ishmael Kone, who got his debut here. I think if one of those four can really develop in that midfield, it really changes the dynamics of what you can do with the team and opens it up for a lot of players and aspects. And I think that will make the life easier versus playing through the wings only and or playing just through Eustachio. Because if you can play through Eustachio as a CDM and then play that through a Kone or a good cam in the middle, that opens it up a lot. But then getting them maximizing your players and doing everything you can. So I think that's where it kind of comes through and is a good thing to look through. Guys, let me know in the chat of the CONCACAF teams here. I know we haven't mentioned Costa Rica because they're still in the playoff here and they'll go through and they're playing New Zealand, and I think they'll definitely have a chance to get through there. But of the three who have already qualified, which CONCACAF team do you think has the best chance of moving forward in this World Cup or finishing top two in their group? Just leave me a comment in the chat. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to go through some of these comments here. Some of them we have addressed, but we'll go from there. Ronaldo letting me know Belgium and Croatia are equally are quality squads, but they might be yesterday's teams. It's a fair point. We'll see how the match plays out, and that's the thing. We'll see. They both have talent, there's no doubt, but can you take that experience away and force them to chase a bit? If Canada can do that, I think you really do open up the game for that aspect. Rivera mentioned that. Benjamin from Peru. All right, all there. Anyone's experienced the same trouble? Yeah, it's true. Finding national team kits is rough in Canada. I'm on the eBay route, and it is a dangerous world. I'm looking at my bank account and saying, do I need to pay this much? Do I need to? But you do what you have to do. All right. More comments. Okay, Everton checking in. Good to see you. Good to see you. Nice to have you in. Yes, the same one, Benjamin. The same one. We will get to that. All right. True. Ball kick. That's a very fair point. At the same time, it was that Mexico. We can't assume that the past results are going to be indicative of the current results, right? It happened there. It did. It would be like me saying Ghana has beat Serbia. Therefore, Ghana will always beat Serbia. That would be irresponsible for me to say. All right. So I think, and the other thing is realistically, this tournament isn't happening next week, this tournament is happening in November. Players will be able to get into form or lose their form in time. So judging a team based off how they're playing right now may not be the best way of version. Let's get to the beginning of the season, see how players are looking, and see kind of how we feel, how it's going through. Remember, you know how Mexico play otherwise. Yes, they do. They do. The comments, Striker 9 has Super Strike 9. As a Canada fan, I think we got a decent draw, not a group of death at least. I wouldn't say it's a group of death, but it's decent, but it's not the easiest draw. I mean, if you want to look at it from a group of death standpoint, second and third place from 2018, and a Moroccan team who's fighting to play a low block and counter with pace, right? And a Morocco squad that if they replaced their manager, which is a very key thing, their best player, Ziyech, would be back on the squad. Because that's the only reason. It's a beef between the manager and Ziyech. That's why he's retired from the national team program. So I think it's a fair point go through. Also saying, I think they have a legitimate shot of finishing second in the group. I think so too, but we'll see how they're able to go through and how that goes. Da, 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 da. And they're saying, I have to go soon. I'm saying that will be more competition in Mexico, even if they don't come out of the group. They may not come to the group. Yeah, all the groups here, I
Yes.
think, have quality teams all up and down across. So it's nothing impossible to really see. Benjamin asks, let's say Peru takes a spot in Group E. Realistically, what's your opinion of their chances advancing? Let me see. Right now, I'd say it's pretty difficult. But at the end of the day, I'd say let's see how they look in September. Because, like, a Lopez, for example, could take super steps and all of a sudden be able to lock down the left back position. There's a lot of players who can gain form. There's a lot of players who can lose their form. So because we're not playing this in the summer and we can't really look at see how teams are playing, let's have this revisit this conversation in September, October as we're getting near, and we can really give it a good aspect there. Yes, Canada finished first, and we didn't have Davies for the last two windows. That is true. We didn't. You didn't have Davies for 7 games, half of your games, because he wasn't there for the 3-0 victory against El Salvador in the first window when he left back. And yes, he is playing a Nagelsmann. Is Alfonso playing again? Didn't he have some heart problems with his heart? He's been cleared to resume, and he is slated to be available for their matchup against Villarreal in the Champions League. So for Canadian fans, that's exciting. Happy to see him there and expected there. Deuce also echoing that. All right. And yes, agree. 2022 is great World Cup to build for the hosts in 2026, which is why I think, and you heard Herdman say this a lot, getting there this year mattered because now you have that experience and you'll be able to see what teams can really do moving forward in that aspect. Okay. No, that's cool, Benjamin. Not a problem. I mean, it's definitely, I think, I don't think it's, I think CONCACAF is the fourth best league, is the fourth best federation in the world, to be honest, in my opinion, because I think it's UEFA, CONMEBOL, then I put CAF, or the Confederation of African Football ahead of CONCACAF, then CONCACAF, then Asia, and then Oceanic. That's kind of how I rate them. So fourth best is fine. Randomly, JD, where do you rank CONCACAF in terms of federations?
Um, in terms of federation, fourth. Okay, so wait a sec. Who would you say first?
UEFA.
UEFA. All
Mhm.
right. Yeah, yeah, Ford could be okay then. Ford could, but Ford don't really tells you that they can't beat most of the first teams because they did beat a lot of the first rank teams, first rank bracket. So I don't really like to rank it that way because it
Mhm.
might give people the false sense that they can't beat much of the other teams. And I truly believe that they are going to surprise us this round coming.
Mhm. No, it's a fair the point. And your federation ranking doesn't matter as much. It's really how good your team is playing at that point in time. Federation tab, but that's kind of where I find it. Marcella, I didn't ignore it because I'm going to get to that later. So I'm putting a pin in it for now. Anime Song asking, don't you think this group is very difficult for Canada? Yeah, but you're at the World Cup. Every group is difficult. Therefore, it's not difficult. It's a group, right? That's kind of how I look at it. It's some teams could be easier than not, sure. If you're looking in terms of where they could have found themselves, what's it called? The spot that they lost out to was the Tunisia spot. So if Canada was in pot three, they maybe could have found themselves in Group D or maybe Group F based off how the draw went. So am I heartbroken? It's a matchup. You're going to go to the World Cup, and maybe this is just the Ghana aspect of me talking. Because when Ghana went in 2006, they had um, Italy, the Czech Republic, and the US. And we were the third ranked team. We were the fourth ranked team there. We were like 42nd or 38 at the time. And they lost to Italy first round. The Czechs had an injury. There's no doubt about that. And that had played. I think it was Brzezinski got injured. And then they won 2-0. Then they beat the US 2-1. you're in the group. Now it's you start preparing for the group. So I don't really view a group as hard. You have teams who all want to do the same thing in that same way. So I don't really see it as hard. It's just that, right? Ronaldo is still waiting for the US to win the World Cup. I don't know. I think their best chance might be if this generation is able to develop and they switch their manager, that's definitely where it'll be.
All right, so Africans, I came and did my hour. I have to go to my
No,
food.
no problem. No problem. No, appreciate
Hours
you
of
coming.
fighting the food. So, guys, thanks
Yeah.
very much for
Mhm.
supporting Africans. Again, please hit the like button, support Africans, but don't give Africans too much likes more than me. So go back and hit my
Wow.
like button if you're going to hit Africans like button as well, because I
Yeah.
can't understand. Africans become more superstar than me. African has more likes on his videos than mine. It need to stop. You guys need to stop disrespect me. All right. Now, you guys are gonna go over there and give me my like as well, and then come
Yeah.
and give Africans his like as well. So thanks very much for having me, guys. And
No problem.
if he invites me back to his channel, I will return. All
If
right.
I invite him back to my channel, you're
Thanks,
always
man.
welcome here, JD. Yo,
All right.
take
Bye
care.
bye.
All
Yeah.
right. So that was JD from IMAX. That was there for the draw and thing. So you can definitely go to his channel, give those videos a like. But let's get back through those comments. And then eventually we're going to get into ranking where do we think teams will find themselves. So we're going to start doing that. And we'll go. Yeah, Morocco's been having issues. They've had issues with their manager. So that's a thing. United States of America, man. Yeah. No, no. Ben, there's no like it's a conversation. Nothing here is taken personally. You're not gonna see me. There's no diss track coming afterwards where I say, "Yo, Benjamin from Peru's a fool." Like I don't. It's opinions. We can have them. We're here to talk and discuss and go from there. No, I think the Asian Federation is after. So I think it's UEFA, CONMEBOL, AFCON, CONCACAF, the Asian Fed, and then Oceanic. That's kind of how I see it. All right. Bala Kick saying Group F. Belgium is the favorite, but the Croats win the group or Canada win the group. I wouldn't be surprised, but all the teams are going to play some good football to win the group. I think so too. I think that'll be the more fun. It's not the it's a difficult one to call, but I think Group F in the same way as Group H, you could look and say you wouldn't be surprised if any combination of two teams came out. If Germany or Spain don't come out of Group E, for example, then some people are surprised. There's no doubt about that. But I think Group F and H, I think you can legitimately say, wouldn't be surprised how they go and how they're running. All right. I had seen Suriname against, yeah, they did. I think they lost that game 1-0, but hey, it's a thing. So there we go. Probably too many billionaires. All right. Your first memory World Cup is Cameroon beating them. Yeah, hey, no, don't worry, man. None of us are as young as we'd like to believe we are. No, what's my first World Cup memory? Because I was young-ish, but like I remember, like my first real World Cup memory was the '98 World Cup, right before the final. Because like I remember, like my brothers and my dad were talking about it, and that was like when Ronaldo had whatever it is that happened to him before the matchup. That was my first one where I was like, that's the first real soccer memory that I've had. So there's no doubt about it. All right. But yeah, that's my first World Cup memory. Ooh, Strike, man, you be young. You're a youngin, so congratulations. You got to see it twice. For a lot of the fans out in Canada, this is their first experience. This is their versioning aspect, man. Miller is a legend. No, there's no doubt. He's definitely a legend. If you want to, but it's really interesting if you look at how he got onto the team and like research it. He definitely, to a degree, bullied his way onto those teams. If you look at like the history there is no doubt about it. Yes, you do. You definitely do. So, guys, we did this on IMAX's channel, but give me your predictions. Give me your top two finishers from all those groups here, guys. And again, if you're here, primarily CONCACAF, Canadian content, a little bit of African content as well. I haven't talked about Ghana yet because I want to focus here more on Canada, but I'll give you my Ghana thoughts in a minute. But right now, guys, give me your thoughts because Marcel, I'm not ignoring you. Don't worry. Marcel gave me his in full detail, which I do appreciate. But guys, in the chat, let me know what are your group predictions for each group, A to G, A to H. Just type below. Let me know who you have winning first and second place going through. Marcel's put his entire bracket. I mean, the dedication he's shown, I appreciate truly. I'll give you some of his as you guys are putting those in the chat. And again, give us a like if you like this type of content. Give us a subscribe, and we'll go for there. And yeah, I don't mind having more likes on a video than JD. So yeah, give me 300 likes. I don't mind that at all. So Marcel has Group A. He has Netherlands and Qatar finishing off with Ecuador and Senegal as your fourth. That's interesting because I put my picks are the Netherlands and Senegal. I do rate them a little bit higher. But Benjamin, you're here. How do you rate, say, you're still here? How do you rate a group like a team like Ecuador in the Common Bowl? Do you think they have a good chance of getting out of the group? Do you think they can definitely beat a Qatar and a Senegal to finish second? You let me know. You let me know. So back to Marcel's picks. In Group B, he has England in first, Iran in second, the U.S. in third, and under the assumption that Wales makes it, Wales in fourth. I'll be sure not to clip this and send this to American content creators, but I think it's a lot of respect to give for Iran. Iran's a good low block defending team, and they do have some attacking players that can really do some damage. So last World Cup and even the World Cup of 2014, they were able to stifle the eventual runners up until the last possible minute where Messi scored that goal. So that's a lot of respect to give, and we'll see. Group C, Marcel has Poland and then Argentina. Marcel is representing Poland, so in case you're wondering where he's rooting, with Mexico finishing third and Saudi Arabia fourth, I think I could see that happening. I think most people would maybe go Argentina then Poland, but Poland and Argentina would mean finally they've come through, and it's not just Lewandowski and France. This isn't Diana Ross and the Supremes. Very nice. For Group D, Marcel is giving me France in Group 1 in 1, and then Denmark in 2. No love for Tunisia or the Intercontinental Playoff, which I believe would be, which that one is Costa Rica. And I think Costa Rica probably could do well if they blend their team. Tunisia in third. Group E, Marcel's giving us Spain and Germany, and Japan is saying Peru or probably EAU. The winner of that two will make it there. I'd fancy Peru's chances, but I want to see how they look better closer to that tournament. And I mean, tournaments are interesting that way. They can definitely come up and play well. Marcel for Group F is giving me Croatia, Canada, and Belgium in third, with Morocco finishing in fourth, meaning the golden generation of Belgium don't get the job done. That's quite the take, but I'm here for it. Marcel in Group G is also giving me Group Brazil and Switzerland with Siberia and Cameroon. Serbia, not Siberia. And then Group H, he's going Portugal, South Korea, Uruguay, and Ghana. I think Ghana is an interesting team. Again, if you want to hear my takes, if they're able to get some of the duels that have been said to could be on the verge of coming in, so like your Callum Sinadoys, your Tariq Lampteys, players like that, I think you definitely can open up that squad because it's a young, explosive type squad. Their question really comes down to if they can get anything out of their strikers, because that's been the issue. They've gotten one goal out of their strikers from qualifiers through African Cup of Nations through the final round. They've got nothing from their strikers. If they get anything, it opens them up a bit. I have this group being Portugal and Ghana coming through for me, but that's a bit of a spoiler. You did ask a question, which I'll kind of go into it, so I'll pin you for a second, and I will come back to that later. So, guys, let me know what you have down here. Okay, Bala Kick, Ronaldo, you guys are giving me your answers. Lovely, lovely. All right, so let's see what you have, guys. And if you're stopping by real quick, just give us a like and we'll go from there. But again, give me your predictions for squads, for teams. and how this will go. All righty, so let's start seeing what we have going on. HM just Group F. HM just Group F, not any of the other groups. Appreciate it. All right, so Ronaldo is giving me the Netherlands in Group A. Fair enough. And then Netherlands and Ecuador. Okay, that's fair. We have that. Still too young for the memories. But you know about the hand of that's true. 86 is something I wasn't alive in 86, so that's definitely the case. But no, definitely good. Balakik is giving me Senegal and the Netherlands for Group A. That's fair. Group B, you got England and USA. Group C, Mexico, Argentina. Okay, there we go. Senegal and Ecuador. Okay. No love for Qatar. Yeah, I can't give too much. All right. Group D, France and Denmark. Fair. Deuce, thanks for stopping by. Earliest World Cup memory, Tenderelli's goal for Italy. Fair enough. E, Germany, Spain from Ronaldo. Remember when Iran beat the US in the World Cup? It was a charged atmosphere. There's no doubt about that. It was a charged atmosphere. 98. I feel like I'm going to look up that game and see if someone has that. Someone should have that game. The most politically charged game. 442. Yeah, it is. And I think now with me around there, and it'll just be that group is basic. Group B is like Commonwealth and friends for me. England, USA, and the potential of playing either Wales or Scotland. Man, that'll be interesting. All right. Ronaldo going Belgium and Canada, and then Brazil and Cameroon. Really? Cameroon over Switzerland and Serbia. That's a take. I like it. GA equals USA versus End. Okay. Fair enough. Uruguay and Ghana for Group H, guys. Just because I have Ghana in my blood doesn't mean you have to suck up. I'm joking. Okay. Group F, you got Belgium and Morocco. Yep. Okay. Group C, Argentina and Mexico. Okay. Wasn't even born in 1998. Well, don't date yourself. So you're big. You haven't even. Do you even have hair on your chin? Come now. Okay. Bala could give me Group D, France and Denmark. Okay. Group E, Japan and Spain. Wow. So you're saying Germany isn't able to put it through. So you're saying Bayern, the national team of Bayern won't be able to pull it off. That's interesting. All right. Anime sound giving me some things. Okay. So Group A, Netherlands and Senegal. Okay, I like you guys. Keep your predictions coming through. And then I want to everything here. All right, so that's fair. The teams you don't know, they just go last. No, that's a fair point. Yeah, 98 was a rough turnaround for the US after hosting because it was their first opportunity to do something and it didn't end well. Man, okay. Ball kick. Belgium for Ball could give me Belgium and Canada there. Not bad group. US, England, and then US second. All right, Argentina and Poland. Okay. Guys, keep those predictions coming in. Appreciate it. If you haven't already, give us a like, subscribe. Canadian content primarily, but we cover African football as well as European club. We probably will be doing a This Week in Football pod. We usually do our podcast that we record, but we might record it on YouTube. So it'll just be a live stream as well on Sunday. So be on the lookout for that. I only care about F. That's fine. That is fine. Who are you rooting for in F? Okay, anime song. Good. You don't put Poland first because I love them. It's actually because they have a good team. Their talent has always been good. I think they've just lucked out. That group they were in the last World Cup with Colombia, Senegal, and Japan, they just weren't able to get it done, and that sucked. Because that entire group I have the most fun watching. Right? That group was fun. the goal that got scored against Poland, where the assistant referee let the player on, that was just like I felt conflicted because on one hand I was thinking that shouldn't have counted, but Senegal scored, so wasn't mad, wasn't mad. All right, Group H, Ghana and Portugal, Belgium, Morocco. Group F, not bad. Teams you don't know, you put in last. That is fair. That is fair. Okay. All right. We'll definitely get to that. We'll definitely get to those questions coming through. Yep. US finished last. That is true. Teams you don't know finished last. Belgium, Croatia, Group F, anime song. Fair, fair, fair. Don't sleep on the Samurai Blue. I don't, but you need one of those top teams not playing well. So we'll see. We shall see. We shall see indeed. So tired, lack of sleep last night. Yo, I know that feeling, but you get your sleep, man. It's not a problem. Yeah. No, agreed. Agreed, Marcel. They definitely are. Man, it's really going to be that thing. How many Canadians are in top 5 leagues? um, so for defining by the traditional Canadian top 5 leagues in are England, Portugal, Italy, Spain, and France. I think Canada at the highest tier, you have Davies, you have David. I think those would be I don't know why I feel like I'm missing someone. But yeah, Davies, who's the left back at Bayern Munich, and then Jonathan David, who is a striker for Lille. Those would be your highest profile players for Canada. So just the two. They do have players in lower tiers in England. They have players who are playing across Europe as well. But I think that aspect, those are the top ones. Actually, three. If you count Portugal. Do you count Portugal as a top 5 league? If you do, then yes. Then Steven Eustáquio is there as well. But yeah, the main names from Canada would be Davies, and then a few people are starting to know the name Jonathan David. But no, Canada's squad has players who are primarily North American based, but then do have players who are in Portugal, players who are playing in Belgium, players in France. All right, Ugbo is in Ligue 1 too. So a couple of strikers in France. We got the Turkish boys, the Besiktas boys, Kyle Larin and Atiba Hutchinson, who are playing at Besiktas in Turkey. Tejan Buchanan, young player. Yeah, thank you. If you're going to say, I wouldn't. Lorraine's not in the top. If you're going to say the championship is a top 5 league, then that's fine. I don't think the Turkish league would be considered top 5. I think your top 5 would probably be from your traditional aspect: England, Spain, Italy, France, and then Portugal. So that's kind of where I would go. Serbia, they all play in leagues. They all play in European leagues. There's no doubt about that. And Deuce, I do agree. England and Wales, Iran and USA, and Senegal, and both teams are booted. I'm telling you, if Wales or Scotland make Group B, that is the interesting. I think everyone's waking up for that game, right? Wales, the Welsh or the Scottish against England in a World Cup. Oh, they'd be all for that. They would be all before that. Ronaldo. I honestly don't know because how is it that we think that Europe leagues are the top leagues in Europe? I think it depends how you put it there, right? I think Premier League definitely, right? Right? No, that's fair, right? Hakimi, yeah, but ooh, that's a good point. That's a very good. And again, I'm not denying this. Oh, the comments, I'm loving this. Yeah, they definitely do have a better player. I think they have better players there in terms of that quality. And I think it'll be interesting to see how they both match up. I think probably if you're Canada, you're trying to get a friendly against Algeria, just to say, I mean, I wouldn't even say stylistically that's the best aspect of them. But no, it is an interesting, it's a good point. And we're not doubting, again, as someone who does dabble and does follow his African football as well. I'm aware of the Moroccan players that are there. There's no doubt about that. They have good quality players. Stylistically, because like I watched the two matchups you had, Hitcham, against Congo. Stylistically, if because those games are available on YouTube and freely to watch. So if anyone wants to watch Morocco and see how they are, they have their two matchups against Congo for the African qualifiers. Would you say that those two matchups? Yeah, I agree with you in terms of that. But Hitcham, would you say the matchups against Morocco is a good barometer for the capacity and the ability of that Moroccan team? Do you think that's a good like assessment of them, or would you say other matchups would be better to see like how potent they would be? Mhm. Mm, no, it could be. It's definitely a fair point. No, it could be which money. Yeah, fair, fair. Not going to go too deep on it. This will be just for the politics of it. That would be a fun matchup. But no, as we're having these conversations, this is fun. And like again, if you guys have questions, bring them in. I by no means claim to be an expert, but I definitely do follow. So I'd love to give answers and go for what we are. But we'll go. Okay. No, that's fair because I definitely watched that aspect. And Congo's not a slouch of a team, but it's just Congo can only play at that pace. And that second game, it was just over. So no, definitely fair. I think Morocco is definitely a solid squad, not to be taken lightly. I think Canada won't go into a matchup overly intimidated by them. I don't think, but I don't know if that's going to serve them well. But that comes down to best matchups and where you think you can exploit, right? You could arguably have the best left back playing as a winger going against the best right back in the world with Hakimi versus Davies. And that alone is worth the price of admission. So I would look forward to something like that always. But you guys have given me some of your predictions in terms of groups. The question I have for you now is da, 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 could a non-European league, not your European team, win this World Cup? Now, it's easy to look at it that way and say, yeah, sure, let's go for Brazil. So I want to change this question a little bit and ask it this way. Outside of the favorites, right? So if you want to go pot one, pot two, then that's fine. Outside of your favorites, which team do you think has the best chance of having an actual deep run outside of the quote unquote favorites? All right, yeah. So outside of say, we'll take the top five teams out of the conversation here. So let's eliminate Argentina, England, France, Belgium, and Brazil. Italy's not there. So you're going Spain, Portugal, Mexico. So outside of the top five, which country do you think at this World Cup has the best chance of really pushing up and having a nice deep run here? And we're getting all the Moroccan content. Appreciate this, man. I love this dialogue. No doubt about it. Actually, the surprise is we have two of the best right backs, not one. Hakimi and Mazarui. Yeah, play for Ajax, and he's signed to Barca Bayern. Yes. No, no bad. No, thanks for stopping by, Marcelo. Appreciate it. No, I've been following Ajax a little bit because uh, the Ghanaian midfielder Mohamed Kudus is there. So yeah, his name has come by. No, this is fun when you have fun conversations. Senegal semifinal. I think that's the pick because they're in that group, and then plus if they finish in second, they're either playing England, and I think that attacking that can cause problems for England. That squad, I think Africa's best chance to win the World Cup is Senegal. There's no doubt about that, which is why I think stylistically, I was rooting like as much as I like and I rate Salah as a player. I needed Senegal in the World Cup because I just don't know if that is. Yeah, this could go into a whole conversation about African football, but we're not going to have that today. But I think for me, Senegal is that team outside of the best. because like you're doing two for one, and then after that, it's just matchups. And I think Senegal will always play it direct attacking, and they won't care. That's how Cisse is. You have the squad to do it. You have arguably the best keeper in the world backstopping you, so you can be a little bit more aggressive in that. They are the I think outside of your top five, they would be a team that could definitely do it. I know Germany's outside of there. Oh, no doubt. Qatar is an odd spot for the World Cup. No advantage for Europeans. South Americans. So it's strange. Same thing could happen. There's no. Yeah, it is. It's a good point. I said this on a stream and then on a podcast the other day. I think the idea of putting the World Cups in places that aren't necessarily. It's great to have a World Cup in football crazy environments. There's no doubt about that. But if your goal is really like building the game, I would love to have a World Cup somewhere random, like, and not necessarily random, just like what is it doing somewhere where you wouldn't go and expect, like somewhere outside of places where it's always fun to have like your Europe, your Brazils. Honestly, give me a World Cup in like, and I know Morocco had a bid for the last one. Give me a World Cup in like Africa or like Morocco or somewhere where you don't expect it, and that I would be all for that. Because again, Ghanaian descent clearly with the flag. If no one figured that out, but honestly, I would take that. It is, yeah, I've heard that too. No doubt about it. Yeah, Senegal has elite players on all the levels, man. And agreed. I think Group A is will be interesting. There isn't a group I think you can look at outside of maybe Group E, depending on how the teams go in. I don't think there's a group specifically you look at and say they're there for sure. And the chatting begins. No, you won't. Oh, it would be. I think it'd be fun, but like even if they actually properly rotated the World Cup every 4 years and said this federation is having it, let's put it somewhere else. Like for example, I know it's crazy to think of this, but think of CONCACAF. Imagine having a World Cup which is just in the Caribbean islands, right? I think that would be an intriguing idea overall, where you can then move players. You can every country can be responsible for one thing, and then it's literally a vacation, right? It's yes, different football environments, but then you're jumping from Trinidad all the way to Jamaica for another one. Then you're jumping into Bermuda, you jump stopping in Suriname. I think that would fascinate me. That'd be more interesting from that aspect. But no, man, I think there's a lot to come in, guys, with that. But man, reacting to this has been fun, guys. Thanks for everyone who's been commenting. I think we'll go for probably another 20 minutes or so. Agreed. But yeah, squad, I know we got some Canadian content here, and we do have some people, especially repping the other side. We're repping other countries there. Morocco. Hitchum, how do you rate Morocco's chances to get out of this group? I know a lot of people may be looking at them as and saying them in Canada will be interesting. How do you rate Morocco's chance to get out of their group here? And yeah, this is true. Netherlands either overperforms or underperforms. I don't know if I trust. Yes, no, appreciate it, man. I do appreciate it. I don't know if yeah, that is actually the next question I'm going to ask. That is the next question I ask. We've asked teams who can make. Who is now on the flip side? Who is the top team? 50% from Morocco. Okay. So you see them beating Canada and then maybe getting a result against Croatia. Then that's very reasonable to see. There's no doubt about that. It's very reasonable to see. Because we're talking about the Netherlands, see, now I want to ask this question. Who is the favorite you trust the least out of these teams? So, I mean, the favorites, I mean, Qatar, sure, because they're in that group. But of the pot one teams, England, Argentina, France, Spain, Belgium, Brazil, Portugal. right? So let's just, for argument's sake, let's throw Netherlands up here too. So in terms of the Group A pot leaders, you have Netherlands, Spain, England, Belgium, Argentina, Brazil, France, and Portugal. Of those teams, which one do you trust the least to perform at the World Cup stage? I mean, if you believe in the World Cup curse, you're saying it's going to be France. Belgium, they're at the end. Mm, that's true. If you believe Belgium's at the end of their current golden generation, you'll say them. Spain, I mean, a lot of promising youth, but nothing so far on the table. England, I mean, it's coming home. It's coming home. It's not come home. Argentina, yes, they have Messi. Yes, they've performed a little bit better defensively, but where have they they've never lived up to their full potential. Portugal, same thing. All the talent in the world, but what? Round of quarterfinals and then they're done. Hmm. No, I think that's fair. Moving through. Costa Rica making it through. I think Navas does. And like I was saying when JD was here, I think Costa Rica and New Mexico, if they can get the right blend of youth and with their veterans, it gives them a better chance to move further. If they go veteran heavy, they're done, I think. I think Costa Rica beats New Zealand. I think so too, just because what they were able to do against the US. I think that might make Suarez actually trust some of his youth and use them a little bit more. And I think that gives them, if you're going to play that style where you bunker and then you counter with few, you need creative players, you need dynamic players. And being able to convert how they were against the US, I think it definitely opens it up for them. Hitchum giving us Portugal or the Netherlands, the team you trust the least. I don't trust the Netherlands. I don't trust the Dutch here. As much as like I think they'll make it out of their group, they have a chance to make it out of their group, but I could see them just going belly up against like the US. Mm, no, no doubt about it. I like Netherlands, but I see Senegal winning against it. Right? I think the Netherlands for me, it's Memphis Depay in a nutshell. He can be there. He can put up good numbers, but in the biggest moments, you don't find him. In their eliminate in Euros when they got to the playoff format section, you couldn't find him. So I think, man, the Netherlands is probably the right answer. Ooh, where did you go? I don't think that having a wake up in the Caribbean Islands is a good idea. A World Cup. Oh, I think it might be interesting, but hey, that's fine. For pot one teams, I'm not feeling Portugal this time around. Then that's why, to be honest, that's why I say Group H. Any combination of the four teams coming out would not surprise me. If you told me Uruguay and Korea are coming out, I'd say okay. If you told me Korea and Ghana are coming out, that wouldn't surprise me. If you told me Portugal and Korea are coming out, or Portugal and Uruguay, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Man, it would not. Yeah, Morocco can make it, but they have to win at least one of their games. Yes, I think the most winnable game for Group F, it comes down to how do you rate Croatia here? Do you think Croatia is just one cycle too old and they don't have enough young players to come through? If you believe that, then this group is a lot more open than we realize. And the matchup of it is really Morocco versus Canada. And they have good players. There's no doubt about that. But wait, Bruno. Bruno is, yeah. Yes. Yes. Bruno is Canadian. Well, he has Canadian in him. Yeah, the Moroccan keeper has a little Canada, a little maple in the bloodstream. There's no doubt about that. All right. The best version of Costa Rica, I think, is 2014. Yeah, because those players were in their prime. Joel Campbell was young then, right? You're talking now. Joel Campbell's 29. Joel Campbell's 21 then. I don't think I have to go World Cup. Okay, really good team. Agree. Watch if Belgium draw Croatia. Anything can happen. It would, but that's why I think starting off with a win really doesn't matter. Yep. That is not a doubt. Dutch are too unpredictable which team will show up, and that's why I don't trust them. Yep. That he did. That he did. Costa Rica were, yeah, they had a Cinderella run. They were we wish they could have gone further, but not. Croatia has a lot of talent. There's no doubt about it. No, Super Strike, no problem, man. Thanks for stopping by. I truly appreciate it. Yes, and Bonu is, yes, Moroccan Canadian. Yeah, they just called up. Yeah, take care, guys. Take care. And then they just called up Zuhir from CF Montreal for their U20. So they are definitely not afraid to tap into that Canadian pipeline and find players of Moroccan descent and get them in. But I mean, that's what a good program does: finds talent, gets them into the program, gets them into the fold, and keeps them there. There is no doubt about that, guys. We're gonna stay here for another 5 or 10 minutes, guys. If you have any questions, who are you rating? We've gone over teams we rate, teams we don't, um, group winners, everything on that aspect. I think for me, my group, I haven't given you my group winners. Let me give you my group winners. I think on paper right now, I'd go with, I'll give it Netherlands and Senegal, Group A. Assuming it's Wales, I'll go England, USA, but don't be surprised if it's England and Wales. Group C, I'll go Argentina and Poland. D, France and Denmark. E, Spain and Germany. F, I did say Belgium and Canada on JD's vid, so I'm going to stick with that, but I don't think that's going to be an easy group to call either way. G, I think Serbia and Brazil. And then H, my teams are right now Portugal and Ghana, but nothing really would surprise me in that group. There's no doubt about that. No, Morocco is not a walk in the park. There's no doubt about that. Morocco is a quality team, but I'll let my my African bias and say, yeah, Morocco's good. Morocco beat Ghana in Morocco. I feel like we always see Morocco in the African Cup of Nations, and Morocco is just 1-0 at the end, and you're just, what do we do? What do we honestly do? But then that Ghana team was a mess. That was a mess. So there's no doubt about that. Guys, thank you for everyone for being here. Again, just give me, if you guys have any more questions or any thoughts on this as we go. Yeah, you did. You definitely did. Because I think what Rajovic was trying to do that game was he was trying to get a draw against them. He was trying to get a draw against Morocco and then beat Comoros and Gabon. And he lost at the death to Morocco. He drew at the death against Gabon, and then Comoros did the unthinkable and beat the powerhouses of Ghana. And yeah, but that's how the ball rolls sometimes. I think Morocco was the better team. There's no doubt how they played. So we'll see how they go through. I think African wise, it's definitely them. But Morocco, because you don't have any Nigerias or Algerias, Morocco might be on paper, the next best team to do something. But I think it actually might be Ghana just because of the group they're in. And if Ghana's able to get some of those players to come through, they definitely do have an opportunity. I mean, we can't be playing football on the, well, if this player commits and this player commits, for what they have on the pitch and what they've had and what they've played, definitely Morocco and Senegal are the two best teams, I think, coming out of Africa who can really do them proud, which puts Canada in a very compromising spot. But that's why you play the game, right? That's why you play the game. No, agreed. I think Mali I was rooting for the most, right? I won't lie. I was rooting for Congo. I have one of my co-hosts. He's from Kenya, and he's very much a firm believer of sub-Saharan football teams, even though some of them are better than the others, and just because how some will bunker and not go. But I think Mali definitely could. If they could have got through, I would have been happy. But Congo, when Congo scored against Morocco, early. I was feeling excited when Morocco equalized. I thought to myself, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to pull this off because now they're going to Morocco afterwards, and 4-1 says it all. So definitely Morocco was the better team that day, and overall the last two. But no, it's definitely been here, guys. We've been here for 140 about. I am not. See if we can keep on going. What are we doing in terms of this video? 29 likes, guys. Really? Give me 30. Someone, let's get that 30 like as we're gonna wrap this up and then go off. I've been streaming on this. I'm all talked out. I think I've said everything I have to say here. But no, I think this will be interesting. This will definitely be interesting in that aspect. If you're in Morocco, I agree. I do. Even if they gave us a playoff spot, I think Africa deserves much more teams. Ooh, since you're here, I've had this conversation with a lot of people, but since you're here, did you like the format? Did you like the format that they use? Top 10 teams, 5 two-leg playoffs, winners on aggregate goes to the World Cup. Or do you prefer it going in when they were in groups? Deuce, be agreed. I mean, all I have is painful memories of Luis Suarez, but really our inability to. Once it went to penalties, I said, like, Ghana's not winning. We're not winning that game. Once it went to penalties, you have to do it there. But the African format has been talked about because other than that Senegal Egypt match looking like a disco, because it did look like a disco, the amount of laser pointers that were there. How do you guys like the format? Did you like it? Did you think it was harsh? Let me know. I think that'll be our last thing that we talk about, and then we'll just kind of wrap it up from there. 31 likes. Truly appreciate it, guys. Truly appreciate it. But yeah, give me your thoughts on the African qualifying format. So they had qualifiers before, so they got the teams into groups, and then you had top 40 team. You had 10 groups, 4 groups each, 5 groups, whatever. Winners of each group made it. So then there were 10 groups. There were 10 teams left. Home and away playoff leg. Winner on aggregate goes. The only thing constant in that is that when they run it that way, Egypt loses 1 game in qualifiers, and then they find themselves out of the World Cup. It happened in 2013 when 2013 was worse, though, because they just got destroyed by Ghana 6-1 and then won the last game 2-1. So lost 7-3 on aggregate. And this time, 1-1 tie, lose it on penalties. It's rough. It has its perks. It has its drawbacks. I understand it. But I think we'll leave it off at that. Guys, thank you so much for spending almost 2 hours with me today. Truly appreciate it. Again, primarily Canadian, do cover African content. We do have a podcast. It is in our description, so feel free to look at that and follow up there. But yeah, we'll be back this weekend just to talk a little bit more. We'll definitely talk about this, start looking ahead to some of the clubs coming back. But guys, it's just been a question from the Africans, appreciating the time we've been able to spend together. I'll just hang out for a few more seconds and see if anyone has any more questions or any thoughts on the World Cup. Let's kind of end it off on a positive note, and then we'll go from there. But guys, thank you again for the time you've given us. Really appreciate talking with everyone. Hitchum, man, feel free to link up with me here. My email and my Twitter's there. And we can definitely go back and forth because I love talking African football because it's fascinating to me always. And always good. But guys, thank you for spending this time with us here. To enjoy this World Cup coming through. There are plenty of friendlies coming up. Yeah, if I'm Morocco, I'm maybe trying to get a friendly against the US. And if I'm Canada, I want a friendly against Algeria. There's no doubt about that. Guys, don't forget to give us a like. If you like this content, give us a subscribe. We'll definitely go from that. We do have content coming on the other national teams coming through. When the U20 roster drops, we'll be putting something there, as well as the celebration tour for the ladies coming. Yo, Deuce, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. We'll see you then as well. And guys, until then, it's been a dandy of a time. I've appreciated it. I'm all talked out. I'm looking forward to maybe taking a nap. But guys, thank you for the time you spent here. And in that moment, guys, truly appreciate it. Bye-bye for now. And Turn on that notification to make sure you are up to date with anytime we're dropping content. And until then, guys, we'll see you later. Bye-bye for now.